So today's weird, right? Right now we're for the first time going to be mandated to vote by mail. Maybe not mandated, but mailing voting is going to be a national thing, not just something done in Florida. All right. So because of this, a lot of attention has been given to the post office, and the the post office is an amazing service. It's a utility that is the foundation of America. I mean, it's like water delivery, right? It's a basic element of modern society. But why is the post office having problems? Everyone know about the post office problems. Now it's public news because they are essential to a free and fair election. But in reality, the post office has been having problems for roughly 14 years. Almost 14 years exactly. Why? Because there's a 2006 law that Congress passed that really put them in a slump. So today, we're going to be talking about what's up with the United States Postal Service. Okay, so here's the deal. We know the mailman, right? We seen the mailman in all the movies. We see the dog chasing after the mailman. You know, the mail carrier coming in the blue and white truck with our packages. Kids running to the door hoping that they have some gifts. This is like nostalgic American, a nostalgic piece of Americana, right? But we seem, well, we seemed to forget that the Postal Service is an actual company that actually needs money to run. And we wonder, how could at one time 30 cents get a piece of mail from New York to Hawaii? See, this is what made the Postal Service great. The Postal Service was, and still am, in my opinion, the most efficient company ever to ever be built. The Postal Service is the most efficient company ever. And why? Because they're a utility. They were operating with the guys that they were not here to make profit. They were operating with the guys, under the guys that they were here to deliver packages to Americans at the most affordable and sustainable price possible. But then email came. UPS took off. FedEx took off. Amazon Prime's here. Now what? Now Amazon offers unlimited deliveries for $19 a month, or $6 a month, or $12 a month, whatever it is. How can the U.S. Postal Service compete with that? Right? Or FedEx is taking off the big heavy package market. There's a price point in which USPS is no longer the most affordable way to ship. Small packages, USPS. Big packages, you go over to FedEx and UPS. Why? Why can't the United States Postal Service compete with FedEx or compete with UPS? I can tell you one thing is that the essential problem with everything that's American right now. Darn it, Congress. Congress, because America or UPS is a government agency, an independent agency of the United States government, they must go to Congress for almost anything. We are talking about Congress, the same Congress that is allowing hundreds of thousands of people to die. The same Congresses that lied to us about weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. The same Congress that is currently backing a president who wished to be a dictator. The same system is what's holding us back. Now, earlier I told you that exactly 14 years ago is when the problem started. So Congress had this brilliant idea that says, you know what? You company, you USPS, we want you to go private. Now, here's the idea with the idea that company go private. That means the USPS Postal Service will go private, right? And they'll become just a competitor to UPS. But here's the magic number. That means the government the agency must be sold to someone. They might assign it to be managed by someone, but that thing's going to be sold. And currently, they say that real estate assets, just the real estate assets of the Postal Service, at fair market value, is over $100 billion. Right? Now, that's not the infrastructure, that's not the vehicles, that's not the sorting equipment, that's not the we're talking about the biggest purchase in business ever. Period. If a company was to buy it. So what that means is that if the US Postal Service is sold to become more efficient, some big business or some big investment firm is going to purchase them. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to cut cost. They're going to cut down delivery. And they're going to operate along the lines of FedEx and UPS. Do we actually need to sell the United States Postal Service to have them deliver 3 days a week? Come on. Do we really? No. We do not need that. Delivered 3 days a week. 4 days a week. What's hard? It makes you don't have to sell the foundation of America to delete 2 business days from a week or 3 business days from, they already don't deliver on Sundays. Deliver Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Boom. We're there. Now, so 14 years ago, Congress had this brilliant idea that says, you know what, we're going to try to cripple the United States Postal Service because we want them to go private. We want our cronies to be able to purchase them. And there's a lot of money in operating the most efficient company ever built. Remember, the Postal Service goes back to, horseback. This is not some new startup. Postal Service is 150 years old or something. Like, probably older, I think it is. It is really, really, really old. Throw that date out your mind, I'll say. It might be older than that. But I think I read somewhere it was around 150 years old. As it stands today, but like mail delivery and the foundation of a postal service has been there for a very, very, very long time. Now, so they had this brilliant idea to force the U.S. Postal Service to put $100 billion in an account to fund their pensions. I'll put this in perspective.
Since 2012, the Postal Service has been forced to default on $33.9 billion in mandated payments for retiree health benefits. Without these defaults, the deferral of critical capital investments and aggressive management actions, we would not have been able to pay our employees and suppliers or deliver the mail.
The U.S. Postal Service has never really operated in a for-profit manner. They operate in a manner that serves the people, as they are supposed to. And In 2006, Congress demanded that the U.S. Postal Service fund its future pension liabilities. That means we need you to put the money aside that will be needed for your employees after they retire while they're still working. That's not how it works. I mean, Social Security doesn't even work that way. Very, very few companies fund their obligations for 10 years. Fund their obligations for 10 years. So at this point, that put a debt on the United States Postal Service. Put a huge debt on them. And they've been obligated to pay almost $6 billion a year to this fund. Here's the deal.
Medicare integration is the cornerstone of your bill. The civilian federal government is not required to pre-fund retiree health benefits, but that obligation is imposed on the Postal Service. We are merely asking to be treated like any business that offers health benefits to its retirees and has to fund them. Full integration with Medicare is a universally accepted best practice in private sector. Requiring full Medicare integration for Postal Service retirees would essentially eliminate our unfunded liability for retiree health benefits. It is simply a matter of fairness to enable the Postal Service and our employees to fully utilize the benefits for which we have paid.
Now, USPS 2019 lost $8.1 billion. You know why? Because they gave $6 of the billion to a pension fund, and it's going to be sitting there for a very, very long time. Mind you that pensions or the Board of Governors have been ran by Republicans for a long time. This is a way to cripple the United States Postal Service. It is a way to cripple the United States Postal Service. Pensions are something that was a great experiment, but defined payments, defined benefit pensions, meaning that you work here, we're going to set you up with this monthly salary forever. It's not based on how much you contribute. It's here. Work here 20 years, you get this certain payment for the rest of your life till you die. It's a great experiment. Great, great idea. And would have worked if Congress wasn't involved. So the idea is to build up enough burden, build up enough debt with the USPS so they can possibly cripple the USPS. This is just one option. You know, hopefully they're not really trying to cripple the Postal Service, but it is, because imagine if all the energy companies was owned by the U.S. government. Or imagine if Illinois Energy was owned by Illinois. There would not be a problem with revenue in Illinois. If gas was owned by the states or the federal government, gas would be cheaper. We will have energy independence right now. We would have had it 15 years ago. The privatization of these industries, these utility industries, is wrong, and it's a violation of freedoms. No matter how they spin it, the world, Americans are not better with the private USPS service, with the private postal service. So let's talk about this 2006 rule.
Second, unfunded liabilities and debt total about $121 billion, or almost 170% of annual revenues. They are mostly retiree health and pension benefit obligations for which the Postal Service has not set aside sufficient funds. And as we've mentioned today, about $50 billion of those liabilities are retiree health benefits that remain unfunded.
By the way, In 2014, the United States Postal Service testified before Congress urging elimination of unfunded liabilities. The enactment of comprehensive postal reform legislation cannot wait. The Postal Service has exhausted its borrowing authority, faces unnecessary and artificial costs that it cannot afford, and is constrained by law from correcting the problem. Right here. They cannot correct the problem because Congress is not permitting them to. But Congress, or many people in Congress want the Postal Service to go private, and then private companies correct the problem, and overnight they're profitable. This is a money grab. So, here we go. Proposal, legislation. This was presented to Congress. Retirement health benefits. Full Medicare integration will reduce the unfunded liability by almost 44 billion. At this point, they've already paid off 50 billion. Almost zero. Just by giving retirees Medicare, just by having Medicare for all, for everyone, the Postal Service will work and flow as it should. The Postal Service shouldn't be a for-profit industry, just as water shouldn't be a for-profit industry. We pay our taxes. Imagine the police service being a for-profit industry. That just won't be right. Not in my opinion. They want to switch from a defined contribution plan. They want to switch from a defined benefit plan to a defined contribution plan. Meaning, we'll match a certain amount that you contribute, and therefore, after you're done, you're going to drop on that amount. Instead of saying, work 20 years, we don't care how much you contribute, but you're going to get this certain amount of money. These are the pension issues that's associated with the United States Postal Service. And it's astonishing that the American public hasn't dug into this issue. Hey, this is a 2-part, 3-part, 4-part series on the United States Postal Service. Like and subscribe if you want early notification of when part 2 is posted, where I'll be dealing with the election effects and the Postal Service and their connections, and follow the money that's associated with this election, and how a lack of Congress funding will cripple our election and therefore cripple our democracy. Like and subscribe for early notification. Ding that bell, subscribe. I'll see you on the other side.